Greetings, everybody. Welcome back to Contesting the Point. How's it going? I'm Malik Forté, your host. Hope you're doing well. I'm feeling dope and energetic. And joining me this week, we've got Chance, fresh off of his victory last week and making his debut on the show. We also have Miles in the building. How you guys doing today?
Man, I'm doing pretty good. It's first time on the show. I'm excited to get stuck into things. I'm a little disappointed I have to go up against the reigning champ, but hey, never one to shy from an honest challenge.
And personally, I'm feeling more confident than I've ever felt in my entire life, Malik.
Yeah?
No, not at all. That's not true. But I'm feeling all right. It's a nice, beautiful day in Colorado, so I'm chilling.
Feeling all right. All right, man. You guys seem like you're feeling pretty fine. So why don't we go ahead and get into things. Miles, I know this is your first time on the show, so let's do a quick recap of the rules. I'm going to present a headline from the CDL. I'm going to give a hot take on the story, and one of the guests will defend that hot take while the other one attacks it. I'll award points for convincing arguments only, and after 3 stories, whoever has the most points wins 60 seconds to pop off in the Astro Listen Up moment. That sound good to you guys?
Sounds great.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
All right, well, let's jump right into it. So, this past weekend, we saw the Dallas Empire win the Chicago Home Series. This was the Empire's second home series win, and to make it even more impressive, they had to get through the Huntsmen in the semifinals and then take down FaZe in the finals. So they had quite a tough road to get there. So with that in mind, my first hot take is that given their playoff run, the Dallas Empire are the best team in the CDL. Now, you know, something tells me that, Chance, you're not quite on the Dallas Empire train. Can you tell me why that is?
Okay, look, they were the best team this past weekend. Absolutely. They won the tournament. There's no argument from me there. But to call them the best team in the game, I can't agree with that because it's just not clear cut, right? Like, they have a 3-7 record against Atlanta. The only time they beat them was in the finals, the most recent tournament. They got, what, 3-0 bopped the first 2 times, both of which were on land. Chicago, the record overall is 5-9 against them. They've lost repeatedly to them. But again, this past weekend, where they were the best team in the game is where they finally took them down. And even Minnesota has a positive record against Dallas. There's too many other teams that are too competitive that, yes, on any given weekend, can Dallas win a tournament? Absolutely. But in my mind, not clear-cut the best in the game. I still lean towards the Atlanta FaZe in that regard. And I still think even a matchup like the Chicago Huntsmen, that we've seen it enough times that they have consistently beaten Dallas, that they have not proven that they are consistently in that #1 spot. They've just proven that they are extremely capable of that. So once we go into the next tournament, I think in Florida or Seattle, wherever it's going to be, a week or 2 down the line, Dallas isn't going to be my #1 team. Next time they go against Atlanta FaZe, I'm expecting Atlanta FaZe to make the improvements after the role swap and reclaim that top spot, and I'm expecting the FaZe to beat them in that series. I think Dallas had an incredible weekend. They put everything together, and they look great, but by no means is it clear-cut that they're the best team in the game.
Right, I mean, there were some close matches. I mean, well, I don't know. Actually, I feel like the Dallas Empire, they kind of did a lot better than I thought. They had some 3-0s and some 3-1s. I don't feel like anybody really tested them. Even FaZe, I feel like, you know, they do good in S&D all the time, and they did well in S&D against the Dallas Empire. But those other rounds, the hard point and the dom, they look kind of one-sided. I don't know, though. What do you have to say about it, Miles? The Dallas Empire, are you on the train that they are the top team?
I am all aboard the Dallas Empire train right now. I was aboard the train from the very start of the Chicago Home Series, where I just had a real inkling, the spidey senses were tingling, and I truly believed that Dallas could go all the way. They now have a win online, they have a win on LAN as well. Yeah, call Crimin online all you want. He's the winningest player in COD history. It's just the way it is. I mean, between he and Clay, they have a record. Their average placings in any kind of tournament is 1.375. That's where they place when they are together. That's good enough for me. The mere fact that they pushed their way through every single team at this event, no one took them anywhere near a game 5. They got what? They lost the rounds against FaZe was like round 11. It was the most incredible search and destroy we've ever seen. I just don't think that right now, the form Dallas is in, they're easily one of the top teams, if not the top team in the league right now. Will we see a different Dallas in the coming months? Sure. Will we have more data to work with? Definitely. I think right now, though, they're my #1 team, bar none. Everyone's great. Dallas is better.
I like that you said bar none, because that's the hot take right there, that Dallas is #1. There's nobody on their level. Chance, man, you gotta prove this wrong, man, because right now that's what it's looking like.
Yeah, you're bringing up the hard points in the domination against FaZe and saying like it's what all the 3-0, 3-1 wins. No one really like pushed Dallas like to the limit. Like they didn't have to squeak by with the wins. But look at how like much worse FaZe was in the respawns, right? They got obliterated by the Subliners and took their 2 worst losses in hardpoint for the entire year back to back against the Subliners in the exact same series. They just made a role swap, switching Major Maniac more so to the MP5 depending on the map they play, and Selim is now that main AR, and this is something Nameless talked about a ton. Sometimes when you're at the top of your game, you have to get a little bit worse, that way long term you get quite a bit better. That is the type of adjustment FaZe is making. They are happy to get second place at a tournament, or they're annoyed at that, sure, if it pans out that long term they're going to get more wins down the line. This is not the same look from a FaZe we've seen in the past. Again, they weren't quite as clean as they have been. I think the role swap was a major part of that because it's respawns where they looked weakest, and that's why again long term you get a little bit worse to make sure you're better farther down the line. So yes, Dallas was absolutely the best team this past weekend. Yes, they're absolutely competitive, but still they have a negative record against Chicago, a negative record against Atlanta, and a negative record against Minnesota. There's too many teams that are too competitive and have beaten Dallas too many times that yes, Dallas can win the next tournament next time, but still I think the odds are stacked at least a little bit against them, and I still favor some of the other teams, especially the FaZe.
I like that, dude, but I'm saying, dude, if you want a team to get a little worse before they get a lot better, there's 2 months before we get to see Dallas play again. They're on a 2-month break. They're gonna stink when they come back by comparison. Playing Warzone every single day, they're gonna have that little period of a downtime, and then all of a sudden you're gonna see the best Dallas you've ever seen for the remainder of the season. I'm calling it, dude. I'm calling it.
So you're saying that you think Dallas is gonna be worse in 2 months because of the break?
They're gonna take a big break.
They're not the best team in the game.
No, right now they're the best team in the game, but you're talking about like a team has to take a little break. They have to have a lull before they can be better than they were, right? This is the lull. They're going to go into a lull while already the best team position for me. You have a dip and then you ascend. You transcend current Dallas form. It's a good look, mate, for the future. You on board with that?
Okay.
I think that's definitely a possibility. Now, you know, you talked a lot about FaZe, Chance, and how they're Lanimals and how they didn't really look like themselves in this past weekend, you know, dropping those maps to the Subliners and whatnot. But what do you have to say about the Dallas Empire making quick work of the Chicago Huntsmen? I think there's a lot to be said about them doing it to both the Huntsmen and FaZe in the same weekend.
I mean, we've seen the storylines kind of develop, right? The Empire have been getting a little bit better and better since the launch weekend. Chicago have been taking a little bit further and further dips, but even still, that could be a wake-up call for Chicago where they say, okay, definitely we need to reevaluate our gameplay. Other players on that team have already started commenting on it. The Chicago Huntsmen are very aware they need to make changes, and even with that, yes, they took their loss to Dallas, but that's the first time it happened, and do we really not think that these players on the Chicago Huntsmen are gonna bounce back and come back with the fire? Like, no, I don't expect them to run Dallas over the next time they play them like they did the first 3 times that they played against Dallas. I do think Dallas has done a lot of work to catch up, but I don't think by any means it's clear-cut that they have surpassed these teams. They beat them in a single tournament. That doesn't mean they're going to beat them at every single one. It doesn't mean they're at the top of the standings. They were the best team for a weekend, but it is not clear-cut that they're the best team overall.
All right. Well, I have to say you do make a compelling argument, Chance, because they have been beaten by these teams in the past. But right now, I think it is indisputable. They look like the best team. I mean, they pretty much steamrolled top competition at this tournament. And this is coming off of a win just a couple of events ago. So I'm going to go with the Dallas Empire being the top team in the CDL, though it was valiantly attacked by you, Chance. I'm going to give Miles this round 6-4. And that is the count after round 1 of this episode of Contesting the Point. All right, on to topic 2. Dallas wasn't the only team surprising people at the Chicago Home Series. I was actually pretty impressed with the New York Subliners. After having a disappointing event after disappointing event, New York finally made a roster swap, bringing in Mack Melts, and it worked out pretty well. Despite going out in the group stage, New York managed to take some maps from FaZe, the top team in the league. So, with that in mind, my hot take for this topic is that New York can consider the Chicago Home Series a success. And something tells me that once again, Chance, you're not feeling that sentiment. So what do you have to say, man? You can attack this point right now.
I mean, yeah, sure. They doubled their CDL points. That's amazing. What a huge success. If all the teams did that, that would be fantastic. No, it's not you won one series. No way that's like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Yes, they played against the best teams in the world or like the very top competition, but who the hell thinks winning only one series is a success? They are still there at the very bottom of the CDL points rankings. They are in a horrible spot for the rest of the year in terms of getting good seeding for champs and this and that. They're not in a good spot. They've won 2 series the entire year. And if anyone on that team, like if I was a professional player and we won 1 series, I wouldn't be like, oh, hey guys, we played some of the best teams close. We'll get them next time. I'd be pissed. There's no way I'm considering that a success.
They beat the Huntsmen.
Okay, yeah, no, but I know, like, obviously a great series, and then they lost to the Huntsmen immediately the next day after well, the players did not talk a bunch of crap. The Twitter account did. They got all hot and heavy and were like, oh, look at the Huntsmen fans. This is what, like, it hurts so much to lose to us. And agreed, it does hurt to lose to the Subliners because it's only happened twice. Like, again, if I'm on that team and anyone else thinks that that is a success, I wouldn't want to play with them. I don't want a teammate that thinks one series win is successful for the team. It doesn't make any sense to me. Did they look better? Sure, but success? Hell no.
Okay. All right. Well, Miles, throw the Subliners some bail, man. I believe there was some improvement that we should be praising a little bit. What do you think, man?
Of course this is a success for the Subliners, man. They were rock bottom before this event. They were in the lowest of the lows. They were going through team changes, not knowing if anyone was going to work out. And then all of a sudden, boom, Mack comes in his debut performance in the CDL. He drops 45 versus Chicago. You know, they have the toughest pool possible. They take on all comers and they roll with it. They don't beat FaZe, but they got all the way with them. They take a search and destroy off of them. That was impressive enough for a team that could not scrape together a win against anyone to be going toe-to-toe with squads like that now. Have to see that as a success. There's no way you don't look at the New York Subliners roster now and they haven't moved up your power rankings in some regard. There's no way. The potential in that squad now has risen dramatically. The vibes are better. They're feeling energetic. I'm down with that squad now, man. I was not a fan before, but after that change and after that performance, I'm back in New York.
And so what was the language you were using though, Miles? You said rock bottom, bottom of the barrel.
Bottom.
After their, quote, successful tournament, where are they? At the very bottom.
They're still at the
exact same spot in the 11th seed with only 20 CDL points, tied with all these other teams that have not had success, like the Optics, like the Gorillas of the world, like the Toronto Ultra. Bottom of the barrel still, even after their, quote, success.
At least now they have hope, Chance. They have some thing on the horizon to look forward to. Before it was just like, we're going to get smoked. We're just getting farmed for points right now. Now you're seeing them take those series. There's a chance.
Okay, and now it's, hey, we're only going to get smoked if we play the best teams in the world. Is that what, like, the narrative change is? Like, hey, we're nice and competitive, and maybe we can even beat the worst teams in the league, but that's successful for us. We're not going to win a tournament because we can't beat the best, but we can beat everybody else. That's what. No, these are champions on this team, including a world champion on the roster, and of course they got fresh faces. They want wins. That is what success is to these players. They will accept nothing less, and again, if there's someone on that team that will accept less than that, I don't know if that's the kind of guy I want to play with.
Okay. All right. You know what? They're small victories. Everybody can gauge them any way they want to gauge them, right? I mean, some people could say that playing FaZe to game 5 and keeping it close is a win, even if you lose. But Chance, you do make a good point. This is the CDL. We do know what the objective is. It's to win the game. And when it's all said and done, the New York Subliners, they didn't get that done. They were put out. And the Chicago Huntsmen, it was impressive to see them upset them, but you did mention that in that second match, it wasn't even close. The Huntsmen adjusted. With that in mind, I'm going to give this round of you, Chance, 5-4. And after 2 rounds, that brings our total to Miles with 10 points, Chance with 9. Last week on Contesting the Point, we talked about how this weekend was do or die for the Seattle Surge. Now, if they didn't make it out of groups, something drastic needed to be done. Well, at the Chicago Home Series, the Surge made it out of groups. But to be fair, they only beat the LA Gorillas twice. So with that in mind, my hot take is despite their success this weekend, the Seattle Surge need to make a roster change. Miles, if I'm not mistaken, you don't actually think that anything like that is necessary. Can you tell me why that is?
I think that the Seattle Surge are on the rise, man. I mean, they're still farming the Gorillas for points, and that's okay. They can keep doing that all season long as you know, they keep getting them in the same groups. For me right now, the Seattle Surge, again, it's on the up. They managed to finally get into the semifinals. They have competitive series against both Dallas and against Atlanta. They take a search and destroy from Atlanta. That finally, the woes for Seattle are starting to change. Do they have what it takes to take on a top team and actually beat them in a full series? We're getting there. Competitive series again against Dallas. They take the first hard point in the Zia Cave in groups, and after that, they only lose up by like 50 points in the second hard point, and when it comes to the Dom, it's like a 10-15 point difference. Nothing crazy. They're getting there. They have a lot of work to do still, but I don't think the team change is actually going to make a difference. All
right. A roster change is kind of a mundane point in the grand scheme of things from what it sounds like coming from you, but Chance, what do you have to say?
I think it's necessary if they want to have success. Like, I don't know what kind of options these guys have, but like Miles made the point of, yes, they've made some slight improvements, finally winning an S&D, maybe a little bit better in the respawns, but they made this roster change, what, like 2-3 months ago? And it's taken them this long to make that improvement. Like, their team before roster change and after roster change is almost exactly the same. They have to do something more extreme. Like, at their rate of progression, by the time we get to champs, whenever that's going to be, they're going to be what? An average team? Like, that's not acceptable. Like, they need to do something insane, and I don't have the answers for them. I don't know what kind of player you look up. Like, I think part of it is like they have a couple slow players that can all like be flex. Maybe they just need someone that can be like a lot more aggressive with an SMG. Like, I look at a team like Minnesota, pick up a player like Alex, right? Like, he is so fine at Call of Duty and so fast that he opens up the map for the team. And I think Apathy has had glimpses of this when he can do it, but the consistency across the board from the SMGs on this team, it's just not there. They haven't shown me enough, and again, enough improvements that I think long-term they're going to have a great deal of success. And these are all guys that, again, it's the world champs, it's champions every single year. Most of these guys are winning them, and this is catastrophic for what their expectations are going to be. It's not good enough to lose to FaZe 3-1 just because, oh, we won an S&D. Like, it's just... like, you don't have to go further. Then all these guys' Twitter feeds, all of them know what the situation is. None of them are happy with it. There needs to be a drastic change, and the roster change, it just seems like it's the easiest route to go.
So they need a paramount adjustment is what you're saying. Miles, do you think that there's anything to be taken from their performance previous to this weekend? Because it looked like they were trending upward even weekends before this.
It's still an upward trend to take search from Atlanta. I mean, this is a team that have the most solid looking one of the most solid looking foundation rosters in the league. You know, they're a dope, energetic team. They've got a ton of experience on their roster. They've got world championship rings from multiple world champions on there. They've got the GOAT. They've got Karma, god damn it. But at the same time, you're right, there's something about this game that just feels off. And maybe instead of making a roster change, maybe a role change, let's give Octane the MP5 for a minute. Why not? It may be one of the best ARs in the game, but let's try something else. Let's just give it a go, because at the same time as a big roster change would make a massive difference, if we just make one small adjustment in game, something a little maybe dramatic, I think there could be something there for Seattle Surge. There could be something. I want to see Seattle do well. They're my pick for the end of the season. I wrote this way back before the league even started, that by the end of the league, this squad was going to be a championship winning team. I still stand by it. I still believe they can make something happen here. There's a ways to go, though.
I'll just say, I think Miles just kind of won that argument for me. If part of the argument is I think Octane might need to switch to a sub to try to help this team in some way, that to me is it's far gone. If you want someone that is the best in the world at what they do, and they are the ones that need to make a switch to try to help, that means something is not okay on the team. And again, I want an extreme change, but that to me, again, I just think it's too far gone, and that's why I'm looking at a roster swap potentially to be more so the panacea than sub-Octane.
Okay, all right. Yeah, so basically what I'm getting from what both of you guys are saying is that there needs to be a change for Seattle. Something needs to happen. And do you guys think that it has anything to maybe do with the coaching staff of that team?
I would say no on that personally, just because like it's incredibly difficult for anyone on the outside to evaluate coaches. And the best way I can evaluate Joey Nubsy is I heard stories, and I don't know the accuracy, but one of the best players in the world, I'm not here to name names, but arguably the greatest of all time, playing against Joey Nubsy's team last year, and even just after the pick and bans and like playing him search, it'd be like they just knew everything we were gonna do. Like, because of the coaching staff was the expectation, they got hard countered. And yes, S&D has been the largest woe for Seattle Surge by far this year. But even at this past tournament, I know I'm switching up my arguments a little bit, but they did improve in the S&D quite a bit. And a lot of it was down to their strats. Like, look at the St. Petro that they played against Atlanta. They were picking off Abizi every single round for the first 4 rounds. Abizi starts making adjustments. And as soon as they lose a round because Abizi made a swap, Seattle pulled something else out of the bag. Like, they came much more well prepared in the Search and Destroy, even if they only got the one non-LA Gorillas win in the game mode. But I saw improvements there, and I think a very large part of that is due to the coaching staff.
Shout out Teddy Rex. Shout out Teddy Rex.
From what I'm gathering from what you guys are saying is it's not the coaching staff. It has nothing to do with anything else that's going on, any outside factors. It's definitely on their roster. They need to make some drastic change. They need to bring some dope and energetic talent to their pool of talent and make something happen. So with that being said, I'm gonna give this round a chance. I think you valiantly defended that. I'm gonna give you 5 points for adding that extra tidbit about the coach at the end, which brings our final total to 14 Chance, 13 Miles. Chance, back-to-back victories here on contesting the point. And of course, that means, as always, you get 60 seconds to pop off in our Astro Listen Up moment. Chance, what do you have to say to the people?
One of my favorite moments from Dallas was Crim6's interview after they won the entire series, and it's purely based on competitive mentality. He is the best example we have, most tournament wins of all time, of what it takes to win. And something he was saying is, it sucks. It's a crappy situation with coronavirus that we're dealing with. Playing online, different locations, the servers, like again, ping, it's just gonna naturally happen. The format's rough, and we have players, like Apathy, whose power is cutting out right before the series. It's going to be very difficult to deal with. This is about the most adversity a Call of Duty pro player is going to have to see. And right now we're seeing the teams that are successful are those that have the best mentality and are dealing it with the best they can. And the teams at the bottom, it's just nothing but complaints and seeing them check out of the game. Like Twitter, just literally saying the year's basically over. I don't even care anymore. You are getting paid to play the game and nothing else. That is your job, to win series. And we're seeing all the players at the top that all of us are talking about how great they are just dealing with it, bogging down and grinding. And again, Apathy is a fantastic example of, even if the team's not doing well, you stay as positive as you can and the success will start to creep up and show. So at the end of the year, I'm just going to talk about whatever happens, happens. I don't have the asterisk of oh, we're playing online. It is the teams that have success are great. The teams that are at the bottom are complete, and that's just the way it's going to be.
Thank you very much for that, Chance. I love it. Positive mental attitude, everybody. You should try it. PMA. It's great. Trust me. You'll love it. Anyways, guys, that does it for this edition of Contesting the Point. Thanks once again to Chance and Miles for joining me this week. And guys, we'll be back next week to take a look at the upcoming Florida Home Series. But until then, everybody, stay safe.